On a lake near Horsham, a family of geese are fretting about their new neighbours, and they've every cause for concern. A baby is about to take to the water for the first time, but will she sink or swim? The proud owner, Sussex farmer Mike Mays, is also concerned. It took him a year to build. It's almost as if the geese can't bear to watch, and the mother shepherds her impressionable goslings to the far bank, leaving the would-be tugboat skipper to face his moment of truth. Mind you, he'll be in good company. There are dozens of other dry land sailors gathering to take advantage of what looks like it'll be a perfect day. And many of them, like John Hyde in the blue cap, are former yachtsmen who've reached an age where they prefer the less energetic form of ocean racing, the radio-controlled variety.
Yep.
He can control both the rudder and the sails, so there's very little difference between his schooner, Lady Sylvia, and the real thing. There's even a figure of Mr. Hyde at the helm.
I used to do dinghy sailing, racing. It's a bit of a wet hobby, and as you get older, you're really looking for something where you can keep your feet dry. However, if I won the lottery, this is probably what I would have. And that is me in miniature.
It's sad really to think he can't go schooner racing for real anymore, but at least his model is a work of art, and most of them sail as good as they look.
A lot of the guys are ex-naval people who have come up through the ranks. We have petty officers, we have just ordinary sailors who just enjoy building boats.
For Mike Mays, there's no Tyneside slipway or bottle of champagne, just a balancing act on a slippery, muddy bank. He knows it won't spring a leak or sink, but can he be sure it'll sit properly in the water without listing to one side? Will it ride the ripples well? A boat this size doesn't need real waves to swamp it. And will the radio-controlled engine room answer orders from the bridge? All is well, and the sight of it is enough to tug the heartstrings of the weather-beaten skipper.
She sat very well, whereas she should do, right up to the line. Very good, went very well, floated very well, kept up straight, never tipped over, never sunk. It was taking over a year, roughly. Bought it last April, May, year ago, 2000, at Brighton show. 2-3 hours an evening, ever since. Everything's homemade on it. There's no bought anything on it at all.
The ship's dog has noticed an intruder, and in a scene that seems almost surreal, a cowboy appears from nowhere, moseying up to the tug for an eyeball confrontation. Who is this dude? Well, it turns out he's a former dockyard matey who spends his weekends being a cowboy in the next field. Are we seeing little boys of all ages at play?
Oh yes, oh there is in all of us. My wife will tell you that. There is, no question of that. Big boys' toys.
And they don't come any bigger than Peter Watts's aircraft carrier. Peter from Lancing has taken radio-controlled boating to a new plane.
It took me 3 years to build, and it's built from aluminium, which is the flight deck, and the hull is constructed of balsa wood covered with glass fibre. And it represents a model of an aircraft carrier that was proposed by Vosper Thornycroft but never actually built. I'll demonstrate all the functions. It's got 7 functions. And the first one is the helicopter working, and then we can make the lift come up, and also make it go back down again. Manually operated is the radar, which I can leave switched on. Bring the lift back up, and then we've got smoke, which takes a few seconds for it to get going. And then we've got the smoke going, and then we've got the aircraft noise, and then we can work the aircraft. Coming up, hover, back down. And at the same time we can get the helicopter going. All functions can work together. That's the lift going down. And back up again. Switch that off. And then we've got the conventional forward and reverse controls and the rudder.
It adds up to a formidable piece of engineering, and you can't help wondering whether the men who made Britain the workshop of the world should have retired quite so early. Couldn't we do with all this manufacturing talent to help the British economy? Why aren't they building real ones for us? The truth is, of course, that they're quite happy in their own small world, and more of the club members turn up, drawn by the kind of summer's day that they were dreaming of all winter. There's almost a traffic jam in the lake.
The guys that are retired, they're working on them 2 or 3 days a week for maybe 5, 6, 8, 10 months, perhaps even a year. Some of them will start a project in the autumn. Hopefully, they'll be able to sail it in the spring. But sometimes they go on for another year before they're finished. The perfectionists in the group are trying to get better and better to reproduce totally what you see in real life. From the very small people on board, the deck fittings, all those sort of things. They're trying to reproduce as near to perfect as they feel that they possibly can.
Right, forwards, go. To the way, to the way.
A moment of crisis involving thousands of pounds worth of machinery.
It's the first time she's been in the water this year, and I've had a lot of machinery in the superstructure, which you'll see in a minute. I think we will bring her in again and rig her for demonstrating the tank landing craft coming out of the stern. Ah, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. I'll give her a little bit of a... Look at that. Look at that. Oh, keep going, keep going.
This kind of boyish glee is reflected in many of the models.
This is a decoy duck I purchased from a local gun shop, and I used to play with it in the bath before radio controlling it. Now it's been radio controlled. The duck has been used on many a lake, and young children and short-sighted old ladies have been known to throw bread at it for feeding.
What can you say of an Englishman stroking his radio-controlled duck? By now, the geese have seen enough. They simply can't understand the British. But then, of course, they're Canada geese, so they wouldn't, would they?
On fireworks night, you're going to hand your child